Hello everyone, this is Neve from Tactica Imperialis and welcome to this newest episode of Adeptus Podcastus. No, do not adjust your set, Remlays is unavailable today and so I am going to be hosting this illustrious podcast rather than just being the snarky commentary on the side. But unluckily for you, I'm not going to do this podcast alone. I'm sure some of you would very much enjoy me rambling for 2 hours, but I doubt those people exist. So I went and got some friends. I got one friend because, I don't have any friends. So joining me as the episode's guest today is a very good friend of the show, Aurelia Tempris.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad I could join today.
And thank you for stepping in at such short notice with Remlays having to step away. It's appreciated. I would have asked Snipe and Wib because they're our standard cover teachers, but we had them on last week, so it wouldn't have been fair to double up.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's okay. I'll be your sounding board. So anything Tau you want to talk about, I don't know much about it, so there. I'm an open book, and I will learn anything.
The Farsight book, I read it, and I have a lot of opinions.
Okay.
So we'll get to that. But for those who either have been living under a rock or have missed your previous shows, would you kindly give the audience a short introduction of who you are and how you come to find yourself on this program?
Yes, I am a Warhammer streamer. I use basically an avatar, so I don't show my face. So I am a custodian of secret origin for now, but that's going to get revealed soon. And I just do Warhammer content. I paint, I play games, I do everything, and I just love reading the books. And I kind of met you and Remlays by chance, and you guys invited me on the show, and it's been a great time hanging out with the both of you.
You've been a really big asset to the show, and I know a lot of the viewers have enjoyed having you around, so I'm glad to have you back on. And obviously all links will be in the WD in the description as always if you want to go and check out this content for yourself. Always forget to do that because we have so many guests on and so many of them are returning guests. I sometimes forget to do the promo work. So sometimes just let the guest cut a promo. It helps.
I forget. I just like hanging out. I don't even think about it. I do it because I like hanging out with you and, both of you, really.
No, and given we've done this 224 times as of this episode, it's kind of become second nature to us. Speaking of which, a short PSA, that the next episode of Adeptus Podcastus will be Quizcastus. Remlays was going to give you the full spiel about the situation and what's going on and who's got the belt and what's on the line and what's not on the line and all this. And I would do that here, but, as the interim champion going into the event, I don't think it would be fair for me to do the GM's job and cut their fucking promo. So I will let Remlays do the admin on the show because unlike certain people in the wrestling community, I do not cut other people's promos and I will not bury anybody on the way. I may be MJF because I'm better than you, but I'm still not going to undercut you.
How considerate.
Absolutely. I enjoy playing a heel when it comes to Quizcasters because I know everyone wants me to lose because I'm a smartass. That's an Adam Blumpier reference. Anyway, so what are you actually here for? You're here for the news. And so actually, considering last episode's complete dearth of information, we've actually got a few things to discuss. Most importantly, actually revealed today. There have been links, because there have always been links, regarding Horus Heresy. We're not talking about them. You may have seen them already, you may have not. We're not talking about them. But because of this, and probably because it's May, and July is usually big drop season, GW have announced a preview called the Dropsite Preview, which is a Horus Heresy reveal stream taking place on the 23rd of May at 7 p.m. UK time. That's 2 p.m. East Coast and 11 a.m. West Coast, or 4 a.m. for the Australians. Yes, actually, we're going to have a stream on a UK evening, so fuck the Australians even more.
Yeah. Where are they having it? Are they doing that on Twitch or YouTube? I was looking through the article and
It doesn't say, but almost all of them have been on Twitch in the past, on Warhammer's Twitch stream. They don't really live stream on their YouTube channel. They typically stream on Twitch. I'll just go and flick through the video and just see if it says Warhammer TV anywhere. It's got something to do with Retribution at Istvan, and it does actually point out the Twitch page in the links on the video, so I'm guessing that it will be on Twitch. But yes, this is presumed at the moment to be the next edition or next mega advanced reveal for Horus Heresy. We've had all the Mechanicum stuff, so maybe this is 30k's full-scale Dark Mechanicum reveal, but then it also talks about Istvan, and as a not Heresy expert, I'm not an expert on Heresy, I'm trying to recall if a campaign went back to Istvan later in the Heresy. So I'm actually just going to go and Google that now. Where's Istvan 3 or Istvan 5? Because it talks about Dropsite, it makes me think Dropsite Massacre.
Right.
But in terms of the lore, we're now at like Beta Garmin. We're way past the Dropsite Massacre. We're like pre-Siege of Terror at this point. So Istvan 3 doesn't have anything post-Heresy apart from the Rylanor virus bomb.
Right.
Thing.
That was the only thing that came to mind for me back on Istvan.
Yeah, so there's the Istvan 3 Dropsite Massacre. So there's the Istvan 3 Massacre and the Istvan 5 Dropsite Massacre. So this may be actually Istvan 5. Yeah, the Dropsite Massacre was Istvan 5. Come on, Lexicanum, play nice. Yeah, so the Dropsite Massacre was on Istvan 5, and took place after Istvan 3. But it's not, I'm not certain, I'm trying to get the page for Istvan 5 up, whether Istvan 5 saw action post-Heresy. Yes, there was, but that talks about a chapter, and that's in a White Dwarf 104, so that's a long time ago.
Based on, and we won't get into it, but based on the leaks I've seen, it would make sense for it to be about Istvan 5. I guess that's all I can really say about that. Yeah. But it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're just saying Dropsite and Istvan, it has to be Istvan 5.
Yes.
Whether they're going back to original Istvan 5 and actually redoing the Dropsite Massacre as a box game, or they're doing something new, unless you've read the leaks in detail and we're not talking about them, don't talk about it in the comments either. We don't want to know. And to be fair, this episode comes out 2 days before that preview anywho. Then at this time, we do not know if it is rehashing Istvan 5 or revisiting in a new time later in or post-Heresy Istvan 5. We don't know. And we wait to find out. So that should be interesting. The other thing that's been sort of going on this cycle has been Warhammer 40k's Knights factions. Both Chaos and Imperial have received a new Knight this week.
Oh man, I'm so excited for those. I don't paint Knights. I have one that I really need to sit down and paint, but I have a big pile of shame I need to get through first. But these Knights look so cool.
So the new one for the Loyalists is the Knight Defender, which is a Questoris pattern Knight, which has got a Plasma Executor and a Conversion Beam Obliterator. And conversion beams are a fun weapon that get more powerful the longer the range, which is always hilarious. The fun thing about this guy, though, is it doesn't have its normal ion shields that standard knights have, where they can rotate the ion shields and things like that. It has a full-on void shield, which is the kind of shielding that is normally given to battleships.
I didn't realize that.
And Titans, to be fair. So this has got Titan shields, if you like. It should therefore be the tankiest knight going.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would hope it'd be able to take a few hits.
Yeah, you should think so. And it says it can also envelop nearby allies. So if you're running, say, some armigers with it nearby, they may also come under the void shield and get further protection. So it definitely means that it's going to make knights a lot more tanky and give them a different playstyle. I mean, knights were always tanky because they're knights.
Oh, right.
But I'm sure there's a reason why they've decided to go for a ultra tanky area denial kind of knight. I'm not a knights player. I've never played against a knight, so I don't know if you've got particular experience playing with knights or against knights.
Oh, certainly not. I can only kind of go off just my own opinions on it, but it definitely gives me more of a paladin. I mean, the knights obviously are kind of reminiscent of like the classic knights and like paladins you see, but given that the large shield and just the overall just like look of this mini, it definitely makes me think of more of like a paladin style, like protecting the whole party, which I kind of like.
It's a good way to go. And I think it's also trying to show the difference between Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights. Because if you take a look at the new Chaos Knight, they've got I believe it's called the Knight Ruinator, which is here. And the Knight Ruinator is armed with missile launchers and a Dark Flame Lance, so a nice melter cannon type thing. But then a melee weapon, the Fellbore. So the idea of this is it's like the Ironclad Dreadnought, where it's about wrecking through buildings and things like that. So its main job is whack that into other knights and just crunch it with a siege drill. So you're trying to set up Imperial Knights as this defensive, long-ranged, sort of tankier faction, while Chaos Knights leaning into that whole theme of rush down, punch you in the face with giant mech suits, but sacrificing the range power that normal knights provide. Right.
And can I just say, this mini, like, it's very heretical of me to say so, but I like the way this Chaos Knight looks more than the more recent Imperial one. I love the helm, that, like, skull, and it looks like it's, like, cracked and melting. And, it just looks so cool. I can't stop looking at it and seeing all the tiny little details that they put in this one.
Yeah, because it looks like it's got, like, a full-on rib cage. Like, compared to the normal knight, which has just got armor plating, this looks like it has a full-on rib cage and feels a bit more alive. And one thing that's... They did it with the Psychic Knight, the Abominant, the baby warlord for Chaos, but they haven't really leaned into demon knights. And what I mean by that is these are clearly corrupted engines of war, don't get me wrong, but they're not, like, demonic in the way that, like, say, a Forge Fiend is, or a Defiler is, or a Helldrake is. Like, they feel like twisted, chaotic machines, yes, but because knights are not really built anymore, they're much rarer and much harder to produce, they're just corrupted, but you don't see that full-scale corruption into full-on demon engines, with, of course, the exception of the Psychic Knight, which has got, like, tentacle arms. But I just think that's an interesting that they're staying away from, like, it's not got tendrils or tentacles or anything, like, overtly demonic. It's chaosified, but it's not demonic. Which I think is just, apart from maybe the face, you could argue the face is slightly demonic, but even so.
Yeah, but I still think it's still a nice touch with just the theming on everything. So, but yeah, I agree. I think I like the way. Perhaps this is just me. I'm more of a traditionalist. Like, sounds weird, but I like the classic structure of the knights. Like that Knight Abominant. It looks so cool. I'm just not a huge fan of tentacles, and I just prefer that big, bulky, tanky. It's like, you're going to have to try really hard to take me down. So I really like that they're kind of sticking with that blocky structure that you normally see for knights.
Agreed. But they're not... The next minis coming out, which is they won't be long, The next set of releases are the Thousand Suns. At last, it's been annoying as the one who actually quite like the Sectar robots and wants to get Thousand Suns. Actually got an army of Thousand Suns while waiting for said robots.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. And I'm actually regretting that decision. Not
Why?
because they didn't decide to just release the units individually.
Oh.
They've done it as an army box, which I could have just bought and been done with it.
But instead, that is unfortunate. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. But rather than with the World Eaters, where they just dropped the new unit and then got on with it, and a new combat patrol and got on with it, the Thousand Suns have gone in a different direction and said, "Hey, have a battle force." So that means that if you want to get the robots, your only way to get the robots is to buy the battle force at the moment. And said battle force is a good box. Don't get me wrong. It's a squad of Rubricae. It's a squad of Terminators, 4 robots, so 2 squads of 2, and a set of Exalted Sorcerers. A really good core for a Thousand Suns army. It's a great core.
Mm-hmm.
But I've already bought 30 Rubricae and 10 Terminators and a set of Exalted Sorcerers with the plan of, when the robots come out, I'll buy 1 or 2 boxes of robots, depending on what the size of the squad is, and add them on and my army's done. I could have just bought this and traded for the second squad of Rubricae that I've got my hands on, and called it a day. I'd have 20 Rubricae, a squad of Sorcerers, a squad of Terminators, and 2 squads of robots. Job done. So I'm slightly cross, because it means A, I have to wait longer for the robots, and B, I could have just bought this battle force and called it a day, but I probably got more for my money doing it second hand, so I also got an Infernal Master out of it, so it's not
okay, well that's nice.
Yeah, I also approve of the fact that the Combat Patrol doesn't have giant piles of Zangor in it. They've redone the Combat Patrol and put probably the single most powerful unit in Combat Patrol in it. A Demon Prince.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, alongside a Zangor and Shaman and 3 Zangor on disc, the Enlightened, alongside a squad of Rubricae. It's a nice mixed Thousand Suns army. So, if you want to play Thousand Suns the Rubric way, which I want to, and there's rules for that, you can, but there's also a bit of Zangor, so you've got a bit of a mixed army. There's something for everybody there, which I think is quite good.
Yeah,
rather
that
than
is
just
nice.
Here's 20 Zangor and 5 Terminators, have a nice day, fuck you. Yes. As for the robots, they've actually decided to make them quite good, from what we can tell. We've not given them all their rules yet, we haven't seen them all. But what they've done is given them Hellfire Missile, so same as the Terminators have got, alongside Heavy Warp Flamers or Melter Guns as different options. They've got a bit of range and a bit of up close. Mm-hmm. And they've also then got the option of Power Claws or Melter Guns. So they're a nice mixed attacker. They've got range, they've got melee, they've got short ranged.
That's nice.
But in terms of defense, they've got toughness 6, 4 wounds, 3 up armor, 5 up invuln, stealth, and infiltrator.
Oh.
So you can set them up. They're harder to shoot. They're tankier than most things, although they're not actually that tanky. One of my students at Warhammer Club tonight was like, "These are stupid tanky, miss." And I was like, "Well, you play Death Guard, right? Death Shroud Terminators, toughness 6, right?" Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, they're Death Shroud Terminators with 1 more wound and worse armor and stealth. You can think of them like Terminators in that sense.
Yeah.
They're slightly tankier in terms of their wound count. Would you excuse me a minute? There's a certain gun drone that will not go in the charging bay. Would you excuse me a moment?
Yes, of course.
Sorry, Remlays.
Hi, Rem. So normally, if someone does this in a collab and we're live, you have the opportunity to entertain someone's chat. So I'm going to tell a nice joke. Okay? Here's the joke. When does a joke become a dad joke? When it becomes apparent. I wish I came up with that one. I wish I did. Let me think. Do I have any other jokes? Okay, what do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef. And what do you call a cow with...
Hopefully that will calm the squawking from the audio unit and let the gun drone recharge. Sorry, Remlays, but you're going to have to clip that little bit out.
It's okay. I told Rem a joke while you were away.
I'm sure he'll enjoy that in editing.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, so Secretary robots look quite good. I have no idea if they're going to do much damage, but they look cool and they are tanky, which is kind of Thousand Suns thing, because they've given them some new detachments and they've shown 2 of them off. So the first one is the Rubric Phalanx, which has decided to do something that I think Thousand Suns used to have. So back in the day, Thousand Suns used to ignore Strength 4 or below in like 2nd or 3rd edition.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Remlays can tell you more. They've changed that now, so that against damage 1 weapon, so, bolters, melee weapons, chain swords, anything but a power fist, pretty much.
Okay.
They get +1 armor save.
Huh.
That means your Rubric Marines have a 2-up save against bolt guns.
Wow. That's, couldn't be me.
And it's also worth noting that Terminators get a new ability of -1 to wound them while they have a Psyker, like their leader. So Bolter, shooting Scarab Occult Terminators, is now wounding on 5s against the 2-up save. And actually, even a weapon with -1 AP now is still a 2-up armor save. So what you'd normally consider good Terminator cutters, like, plasma guns, -2 AP, getting down to a 4-up save, now it's still power armor because it's damage 1. You have to overcharge to get around their armor save, and that obviously puts you in greater danger.
Yeah. Okay, now I want to play Thousand Suns.
Rubric Bolters now have got AP, which is hilarious. Infernal Masters give sustained hits 1, and there's a stratagem on Rhinos that give Inferno Bolters nearby Strength 5 and Psychic. Oh, sorry, not on the Rhino. The stratagem gives them Strength 5, and the Rhino has an ability to give Psychic attacks +1 to hit and wound when disembarking and target with the transport. So the combo for one stratagem with an Infernal Master and Rubric is Disembark with Strength 5, hitting on 2s, +1 to wound, sustained hits 1, AP -1, bolters.
Oh my gosh. You said
Yeah,
you got
that's
your
funny.
Thousand Suns pieces like secondhand?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna need to go find some now.
Vincent is your friend.
That's too good to pass up.
Yeah, there's also an enhancement that lets your Rubric or Terminators infiltrate, which is hilarious. So infiltrating Terminators is just funny. But if Rubric are not your thing, you can also have a Vehicles detachment, which gives each vehicle unit 1 re-roll to hit wound. So the standard Space Marine thing of re-rolling 1 dice per attack cycle. But if you're within 6 inches of a Psyker, you can reroll to hit 1 dice, reroll to wound 1 dice, and reroll damage 1 dice per unit. So, I don't know, if it's a Land Raider with las cannons, with 2 shots, let's say, it's now rerolling to hit 1 of its dice, and rerolling to wound, and if you don't like your d6 damage roll, just reroll it.
Wow. I guess I should just get Thousand Suns before I do Blood Angels. I think that's the move.
They've also brought back the old psychic tests for Thousand Suns. So they used to have these Cabal points and rituals you could pen Cabal points on.
Okay.
Now they've got a pack of rituals that they can use every shooting phase. So you pick a ritual and you roll a warp charge, which is the old psychic test. You roll 2d6 and you have to meet the warp charge of the dice.
And what is that? What is that based off of?
So each one has a different roll. So, for example, Destiny's Ruin is Warp Charge 5. So you roll 2d6, you need to roll 5 or more. If this works, pick an enemy unit and your entire army gets reroll 1s to hit against it. It's like Oath of Moment.
And does that last until the next turn?
End of the phase.
End of the phase, okay.
But if you roll a 10+, so if you supercharge the spell, then you get full rerolls to hit. And if you really want to supercharge it, you're allowed to roll 3d6 instead of 2, for your psychic test, but if you roll a double or a triple, you take D3 mortal wounds in punishment. So it's a nice way of, you get psychic abilities if you can manifest the warp, but you can also get bonuses if you do well, or you can gamble to do better, but at the risk of taking damage.
Okay, I do like that. I like that little bit you can add on there.
It's fun. So yeah, thirsty. It's really interesting, and I want to get into it and try it with my Thousand Suns that I've now got. Once I've got them ready to go and I've got my robots, I don't want the Thousand Suns to be a big project. Like, it'll be 1,000 points tops, but it's just a fun little sub army to play when you get bored of just playing the same army over again. It's why I've got Tau and Orcs and Chaos Cult and Thousand Suns and Inquisition. I have 5 armies, but only 2 of them are more than 1,000 points. Like the Chaos Cult is a small sub faction for fun. It's like 500-600 points, maybe 1,000 tops, and it's rubbish as an army because it's basically just throwing cultists at a problem and seeing what sticks. Nothing. But it's a fun little thing for, I just want to do something different today. Same with the Inquisition.
Yeah.
Imperial agents are not great, but hey, I want to try a different army today and just do something different than just dropping battlesuits on people's heads, which is fucking hilarious, but sometimes you get bored of it. I want to do this. Same with Thousand Suns. I don't place with psychic units because I play Tau. Okay, now give me an army of all psychics to try just for shits and giggles. It's just having a different army to try when you just want a break from what you've been doing every single game for every single week. Just something different. And one of my colleagues at Warhammer Club's the same. They have a Votan army, which is sort of their main thing, but then they've got a Sisters of Battle Crusade and a Space Wolves army they had on the go from early in 10th. And they picked up some Eldari just for fun. It's like having 2 factions you can play, if you can afford it, of course, and I know I'm coming from a position of privilege that I can afford that, and because I've built it up over like a decade and a half, nearly 2 fucking decades, is that it means you never get bored because you could just play something else.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of, I haven't played too much tabletop, but my primary army is like Custodes, and I know I'm going to be playing a game soon with a friend, and I'm going to try out Blood Angels. But I can see those because they're similar enough that they could get old really fast. So, like, I want to try out those little armies where it's like, okay, I don't have a ton of these, but they're just fun to play every once in a blue moon.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, what's next? There's a chat about the new Arcane Journal for the Wood Elves in Old World. I'm just seeing if there's anything apart from just a lore dump. Not really. I don't know enough about Wood Elves, and nor do I care enough. I'll be completely honest. But with Grand Cathay coming around the corner, I get the feeling Old World is definitely going to get a hit soon enough.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, there's a lot about Wood Elves here and the lore and why they're so different, and Orion and all this other stuff. So plenty there. And they'll say there's another interesting Arcane Journal planned after Cathay, which redacted, of course. So, yep, enjoy your Wood Elves. Black Library is doing things as well. There's no minis here, but there are 4 new special editions on the way. And there was also, I missed this, there was 4 new books revealed as well. So we'll start with the books. So first, Mike Brooks has a Eldari Corsair novel called Void Scarred. So Eldari Corsairs came back into the game as a kill team a couple of years ago, and this is the first book from the perspective of a Corsair ever. I'm really looking forward to reading some of this because as far as I'm aware, a lot of the Eldari books, I mainly listen to my books through audiobooks, and I have wanted to listen to a couple, but they're just not on the audiobook site I use. So I'm really hoping they make this into an audiobook because there's stuff I want to know about. Eldari. They always make audiobooks. You can buy them as audiobooks off Black Library.
Off Black Library? Okay, because I've tried looking for them on like I use Audible with Amazon, and they've just never had it. But now I can go look for those.
Yeah, whenever I've gone to buy my books, I buy them as ebooks so I can read them on my phone when I'm out and about. They always sell them as MP3s as well. They're like £40 a go compared to like
oh my gosh, that's
12. I know. I understand they are a lot more work because they have to be narrated rather than just typed.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesus, I can't get into audiobooks for multiple reasons. I've talked about it before on the podcast. Mainly, it goes too slowly. I read faster than I listen, so I'd rather just read it. And if I skip something, I'll skip back to it later. Whereas having to rewind it to reread something or remember what I was talking about 10 minutes ago is much more annoying than just flicking back through pages to find a source or to check information or to make sure I've understood something correctly. So I've never got into audiobooks, though I understand the appeal of them. Plus, they cost a fucking bomb.
Yeah, no, I can understand. I used to read I was not an audiobook person until like recently when I just didn't have enough time to like sit down and read a book. So I always had a book on in the background. And I totally agree. It's a lot harder to find like details and information. It's like, I know they talked about this, but when did it happen? You can't just flip through the book and see like, oh, they were talking about this at the time. I'm close. That is the downside. I know at least like on the Amazon side of things, they're not as expensive. If you have like a membership, like it's still a little expensive, but they're certainly not like $40. Like on average, I think I get my books, all my Warhammer audiobooks for like $12-15. But then again, I think unlike the Black Library one, I don't own it like outright. It's just on the app that I have.
Yeah. So for example, the new Usheran book that's just come out. Oh no, sorry, I tell a lie. The book is £11, the MP3 is £20.
Oh, okay.
For that book. Whereas for, I don't know, there's a new omnibus of Space Wolves. That's just actually an ebook. Let's pick one that does have it. Farsight. The book's £11, the MP3 is £30. I think it depends on how long the book is as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Is that your segue into the...
No. I'll finish the Black Library segment. I'll get there. But the other books revealed is an Age of Sigmar Soulblight vampire novel called Queen of the Rose Throne, about a vampire abandoned in Akshi that should by Nagash's rules be dead, but yet somehow managed to carve out her own little kingdom. We've got Paragon of Faith, which is an anthology collecting novellas and short stories together. That includes Saint's Judgment, Paragon of Faith itself, Infernal Motives, Our Lady of the Voyage, Joy of the Martyr, Redemption Through Blood, and The Fires of Our Faith. None of those are books I've read, nor do I know anyone who has read them. But if they're any good, then great. If not, it's just an insight into Sisters. If you are curious about a little omnibus. And the final one is an interesting AOS novel for me, which is Abraxia, Spear of the Everchosen. So she's the one who's got that really cool demon mount and is sort of the leader of the Varangard, the champion of Archaon.
Okay.
Who's got that really cool lizard mount. You might remember her.
I am pulling up a picture to make sure I can remember her. Oh yeah.
So yeah, she conquered one of the cities in the Twin Tail Crusade of the Dawnbringer saga, and raised a new city there. And having conquered it, she's now got to keep it working despite the inner machinations of chaos. So you've got a bit of statecraft and how chaos actually functions when it's not out on crusade committing genocide. How does the politicking of the Slaves to Darkness work, considering she's Archaon's champion and everybody wants her spot because everyone wants to go with Archaon. So it's just, it'll be an interesting one to see how that pans out, and I'm sure it'll have plenty of murder along the way as well because you can't stop her for long.
Right.
However, there are also some older books getting special editions. These include Belisarius Call, The Great Work by Guy Haley, which is getting one of the rubbish velvety covers with the gold filigree that wears off in 5 minutes. Great. Space Wolves, The Young Wolf, which is the first 3 Bill King novels, which is the ascent of Ragnar Blackmane. So if you enjoy your Space Wolves and Ragnar Blackmane, you've got Space Wolf, Ragnar's Claw, and Grey Hunter. Space Wolf is a good book. I've read Space Wolf. I don't know about the other 2, but I've heard they're very good. Void Exile, which is a Carcharodon's novel. I feel like I've never heard of Void Exile. I
haven't either.
I don't know. I don't think it's new, but actually no, I think it must be new because it talks about Vashtor and he's not been around very long. So I think this is a new Carcharodon's novel by Robbie McNiven. So this should be very fun to see what the Carcharodons have been up to post Primaris. And finally, Indomitus Crusade, Book 9 of the Dawn of Fire, The Silent King, which is the setup for the Pariah Nexus stuff that started 9th edition. That will be getting the special edition treatment as well. They'll be on pre-order later in the year. I'm not going to get any of them. Remlace may well buy the Carcharodons one because I think he quite likes the Carcharodons novels. But I have bought Hand of Abaddon to read before The Silent King. So I need to get on with reading Dawn of Fire now I finished Farsight. And that can serve as my segue.
There you go.
Because, Warhammer Skulls is having a showcase on the 22nd of May. Lots of video game stuff. Enjoy that. The Warhammer Open events get a premium swag box with lots of chaos stuff. It's not actually that interesting. It's got a $10 voucher, some notes, some tokens, and some gold dice. What do you fucking do? And the premium box has everything as well as a fancier box, some objective markers, and what look like some fucking coasters. But I don't think they are actually coasters, but they look like fucking coasters. As well as a combat gauge. Fucking hooray. Sorry, Warhammer Open stuff is all the stuff in America and Canada, so it doesn't affect me anyway. It's all the stuff around World Champs and the US and Canadian and the other US Open, so I'm not going. But yeah, Americans enjoy getting slightly cool free shit for going to the US Opens.
Very, very, very exciting stuff, for sure.
Absolutely thrilling.
Mm-hmm.
Thrilling.
I've always wanted gold dice.
Aye, 2 of them.
Yes, just 2.
Just 2. Right. I've managed to hold off for the best part of an hour. Sorry, I tell a lie. It's been barely over half an hour. But there wasn't a huge amount of news, and Farsight. Entering the spoiler room brawl now. There are spoilers all over the place, and there's a lot to cover.
Hit me with it.
Okay, how much Commander Farsight lore do you know?
I don't know very much, but that's been one of I've heard those books are good, so that was going to be one of the next things I got into. So you feel free to share as much or as little as you want to share.
Yeah, so context. Commander Farsight was the hero of the Tau Empire after the First War with the Imperium, the Damocles Gulf Crusade, was then sent back across the Damocles Gulf to do conquest on the Farsight expedition. All his ethereals died because he got distracted fighting orcs and then fighting demons. And rather than go back to the Tau Empire, he decided to stay out with his new worlds, called now the Farsight Enclaves, and was excommunicated as a traitor to the Tau Empire by the ethereals.
Okay.
That's 2 books summed up in two seconds. Some of those events, all of these events have been long since known. Like, this whole series of books is not about giving new lore to Farsight. Well, it is, but it's about filling in the gaps in the established story written partially in 3rd edition and then developed in 6th edition. So this is quite old lore being fleshed out.
Okay.
This book picks up with the defining moment of the Farsight Enclaves being tested after their separation from the Empire, because the Tyranids show up.
Wow. Okay.
And this is a splinter fleet of Hive Fleet Gorgon. Hive Fleet Gorgon attacked the Tau Empire in what's now known as the Zone of Silence. The Tau won, but at extreme cost. and basically did not have a good countermeasure for dealing with Tyranids. They never have, and they probably never will. And
did they try
the
to?
book
Did they try to make peace with them? I'm very curious because you always hear the meme that the tower, like, so peaceful, they'll try to make peace with anything first.
They tried to open communications and got eaten. They knew they were going to get eaten, but they tried. They are obligated to try. It lasted all of 10 seconds, but they are obligated to try.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, what's more interesting is there's a second subplot going on at the same time as this, because this is 6th edition now, and Tau have just been given a slew of new shit, most notably the Riptide battlesuit. And Farsight, when he left, was in 5th edition. There were no such thing as a Riptide. In fact, he's probably still barely out of 3rd edition. There's no such thing as a Riptide. He doesn't have this new high-tech shit. So how do the Farsight Enclaves get the new high-tech shit? And we have to deal with that story as well. Now, there's a subplot set up for that, but we need to expand it. So, the book opens with 2 main plots. Farsight and Torchstar. Have you heard the name Torchstar before?
No, I haven't.
Right. Torchstar is a Tau in the Tau Empire. And she is a Farsight loyalist. She's a believer in what's called the true Tauva, the true greater good, which says that the Ethereals censured Farsight and Farsight is not a traitor, diddly diddly dee. It's like a secret society of sympathizers within the Empire.
Oh, okay.
And we knew before this book that she defected to the Enclaves and brought the tech with her. But we need to explain how the hell that happens, because how do you slip away from the Tau Empire with a Riptide and all kinds of other cool shit?
Yeah, that is some crazy level heist that you need to explain for sure.
Indeed. So the opening act of the book basically is, how do the Farsight Enclaves respond to Tyranids, and how does Torchstar get to the Enclaves in the first place? So the book opens with Farsight in a cave, because Farsight, after Arthas Moloch, planet with demons, realizes that the greatest threat to the greater good is, 1, the Ethereals, and 2, himself, because he knows too much. So,
in what way does he know too much?
He knows demons and the warp exist.
Oh yeah,
He's looked into the warp, and the warp looked back.
I'd feel pretty bad after that too. Okay, understandable.
Yeah. Now, this is a long time before Arcs of Omen, where Farsight nearly goes to Khorne, but we'll get that. That's a long time on in the future. So, anyway, at this point, Farsight looked into the warp looked back, and Farsight went, oh, fuck. He knows too much, and basically goes into exile and leaves the Enclaves to run themselves. The 4 casts on the 4 worlds are Violos, Salashe, Lubgral, and Tinekla. This book is set on Violos, the Firecast world. And he's living in a cave. He's a hermit.
Okay.
And the book opens with him essentially discovering gene stealers on his planet.
Oh, fun.
And he has to fend off gene stealers, first with Bladecraft, without his signature Dawn Blade, because that's in a museum, but then also by avoiding the conflict. So what he does is he gets a shield drone and basically projects a shield around himself and walks. And you think, where's he going? Is he walking towards civilization? No, the gene stealers will butcher everybody. And what he actually does, as we find out at the end of the chapter, is he walks in such a way as he spells out the Tau rune for fire on my position.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool.
Sending a signal into orbit to the aircast of bomb this spot. So they do, when the gene stealers die and the shield drone keeps him alive.
Okay, that's pretty clever.
Yeah, Farsight's a military genius. Even by Tau standards, he's probably the 2nd or 3rd greatest general the Tau have ever had. So, he is a military genius, and he always has a plan. It's not always a good plan, but it's a plan. He then goes to his museum, as it were, which has been looked after by the Earthcast, because he wants one thing and one thing only. His suit. Because he's kind of hooked on the Dawnblade. The Dawnblade, in case you're not clear, is basically what's considered to be a Necrontyr sword that has a chronophagic alloy that steals the life force of whatever it kills and transfers it to the wielder. It's why Farsight's still alive, despite the fact we're decades beyond his natural lifespan.
And he's addicted to it because it keeps him...
He doesn't even know.
Oh.
He doesn't know it's keeping him alive. No, because if the old law used to say if he ever knew it was keeping him alive, he'd seppuku himself.
Oh, very noble of him.
He blames Ovesa, his eccentric Earthcast scientist genius buddy who came out on crusade with him, for the nanomachines in his system as why he's still alive. He doesn't know it's the Dawnblade.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Anyway, there's interactions of, a literal ghost of eons past just walked out of the wasteland and into a museum, and the Earthcast are like, wait, you? Who the fuck are you calling yourself Farsight? Oh wait, you're actually fucking Farsight. Holy shit. Which is a very fun interaction.
That sounds awesome. He then just
gets in his suit, which has got a Cold Star AI in it, gets his blade, and blasts off to go fight some Tyranids with his fellow commanders. It's a fun scene.
How did he prove it was him? That he was himself?
Biometrics.
I didn't think about... See, I don't think about, super high tech that the Tau probably have that... I mean, not that the Imperium doesn't have biometrics, but...
Yeah,
I just
a quick
don't
bioscan and a quick chat with... Plus, he jumps in the suit and the suit goes, yep, you're who you are, rather than, you're not Farsight, insert countermeasures now. The Cold Star's on board, and he goes off to meet with Shavastos, Bravestorm, Oblotai, Arakon, and Ovesa. If you don't know who any of those are, they are the leaders of the Enclaves. Arakon is a commander of your loss. He's the supreme commander in Farsight's stead. Brightsword is a clone of one of Farsight's younger commanders who wields fusion blade swords. Ooh. No, I'm not making that up. You've got Bravestorm, who is a veteran of Delith and the Downwalkies Gulf Crusade, who is only alive because nanomachines and a life support Iridium battlesuit.
Okay.
You've got Oblotai, Farsight's old mentor, who's now an AI. Shavastos, who is an old commander of Farsight's, who has had his memory and his brain spliced with engram neurochips of the legendary Commander Puretide, Farsight's actual mentor. So he basically has a bit of a Jekyll and a Hyde split personality with Puretide engrams, and it's not fun.
That doesn't sound very fun.
You've got Ovesa, who is the Earthcast scientist I mentioned 5 minutes ago, and the main reason why the Farsight Enclaves do fucking anything tech-wise. He's the smartest Tau alive, arguably. He's the smartest Tau alive, though he shouldn't really be alive either. Nanomachines, son. That's 6 of the 8. Who's the 7th one I'm missing? Arakon, Sho, Brightsword, Torchstar. Who the cuck am I missing? Because Torchstar's the 7th one. Who's the 8th one? Brightsword, Bravestorm, Shavastos, Arakon, Farsight, Ovesa. Hang on. Arakon, Shavastos, Bravestorm, Brightsword, Farsight, Ovesa, Oblotai. No, I've got them all. I haven't forgotten the 8. That would be embarrassing. Right. So, they then have to coordinate a battle plan to fight a losing battle against Tyranids. They're fucked.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Tyranids have made planetfall. They're fucked. And they know it. Violos is fucked. They're still going to fight to save it, and they have ideas about using the planet's lava to defend themselves like they did against the Orcs. This does not fucking work, but we'll get back to that later because we need to get Torchstar involved.
Okay.
In parallel to all of this, well, actually, slightly in the past because space travel takes time, Torchstar and her secret society make a plan to steal a ship. They've got sympathizers in all 4 castes, Earth, Air, Fire, and Water, with plans to basically take a ship loaded with war material and slip off to the Enclaves, because they have found out that the Tyranids are coming for the Enclaves and that the Empire intends to leave them to die.
Oh. Okay, wow.
Yeah, this is how petty that is, and You don't like Phil Kelly's portrayal of the Ethereals as cartoonish evil villains. You are not going to like this book. I know some people don't like Phil Kelly and the way he portrays the Ethereals. I do, but it's mainly just Aunva. We'll get back to Aunva later. He's the Ethereal Supreme, in case you didn't know.
Okay.
They go to steal the ship and are apprehended by the Ethereal cast.
How do they talk their way
They
out of
fail.
that?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, they don't. They're scheduled for psycho re-indoctrination and then mysteriously get released and are able to get the ship and leave.
Do we find out the reasons for this mysterious release? Is it because they want to figure out where Farsight is?
No. The reason is not confirmed at this time. It is confirmed about 20 chapters later to be Aun Shi.
Who is that?
Aun Shi is a veteran ethereal of Viola, Farsight's homeworld, and the ethereal responsible for defeating entire orc invasion single-handedly. Fuck you, Marnius Calgar. Well, I say that. He was able to rally a farming settlement to defeat an orc invasion just by ethereal bullshit and his sword. He should have been put out to pasture long ago. He is far too fucking old, but because he's a legend, the Ethereals won't let him retire, even though he is also an Ethereal. He is also the one who went to bring Farsight home from Arcanasha when Farsight was this is pre-Damocles Gulf, when Farsight had his first major failure, where he failed to take a world from the Orcs because of dust storms and bullshit, and Aun Shi was the only reinforcements the Empire sent to bring him home and abandon Arcanasha. Him and Oshova go back a long fucking way.
Okay.
So the implication, it's never confirmed, but it's very heavily implied that Aun Shi is the unwitting, he's not their inside man, he's not working with the true Talva people, but he's working in the shadows against Aunva to help the Enclaves.
Okay.
So this is how Torchstar and her buddies get their tech of suits, of loads of new tech and battle suits and cool shit. There's only 4 of them. They're not taking a whole army. They're just taking the suits.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they're going to go and try and help Farsight. Using the ship, the vision of Aun Shi. It all rhymes. So they get there. They kick a lot of butt. Torchstar is a pyromaniac on crack. Metaphorical crack. Just the pyromania and the crack being the flavour fumes. She is an utter pyromaniac and makes fire references all over the place, but she's damn well effective at killing bugs because of it.
She sounds really funny.
She's funny by Tau standards, but Tau are not comedians.
I didn't know that.
Well, they can be funny, but by the standards of which Tau is written, they can be snarky, but she's not like slap your leg, ha ha ha, hilarious. She just says things and you are way too obsessed with fire, girl. Calm down.
I already like her.
Yeah, so the main thing about this first battle is, one, the Tau have the ability to colour change their suits using tech, so she changes her colours to Farsight colours, which is kind of neat. And second, they try to use the lava of Violos to burn the Tyranids alive, but because hive mind and instinctive behaviour isn't a thing, they use the hive mind to coordinate the movements of the Tyranids to let them dodge the geothermal vents, and basically the lava does nothing.
Oh, okay.
Farsight also tries to fight what is very heavily implied to be the Swarm Lord at this point.
How did that go? Yep.
Well, he basically dies. His battle suit, his signature battle suit, his old suit that he's had since 3rd edition, is chopped in half. His Cold Star AI fully dies, and he is left to bleed out.
Oh no.
He's only really... This is the point kind of where Torchstar turns up.
I was going to say, oh no, if only there was someone with a new suit for you.
Yeah, we're coming to that down the line. So, this then follows... There's a lot that goes on, and I really want to talk about the 3rd act, but the 2nd act is all about basically get Ovesa, because they can't beat the Tyranids through the Firecast, only the Earthcast can do anything. Science is their only way out. And Ovesa, being the smartest tower alive, they need to find him. Used on a crash station that the Tyranids have managed to crash, where all the tower are defending it, and his facilities are screwed. And not quite overrun, but Farsight is basically bleeding out. And all he's got for company is Shavastos, without his suit, because you can't go into the labs with the suits, and Torchstar, who, no shit, takes her flamer off her suit and single-handedly carries the thing because she customized them to be ultra lightweight flamers.
What?
Yeah, this threw me off as well.
Okay. I think I'm having a hard time visualizing and accepting this, but okay.
So, I mean, Vespid can carry Tau flamethrowers in the new kit. So if you've seen the Vespid model that carries a flamer, think that, but it's actually just a fire warrior instead. It's the first time it's ever been seen, and probably the last time ever as well, because it's an ultra lightweight flamer that allows her to carry it.
Yeah, I think the ultra lightweight, where it's like, I just wasn't expecting that, so.
Yeah, Torchstar has unique custom flamers on her old rules, so it's no surprise that they're custom made for her. So this flamer is very effective at munching through gaunts and getting them to the lab where they eventually find Ovesa. And they talk about creating a countermeasure, a bio countermeasure to kill the Tyranids. The idea of being, give them something and it will poison them and kill them. The Tyranids will adapt, but we might be able to kill enough of them that we can get away.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that makes sense to me.
Then Ovesa gets eaten by a Morlock.
Oh, I hope you didn't need him for anything. Oh my gosh.
And Farsight is like, right, we're going after him. We're going to follow that Morlock down the tunnel and we're getting Ovesa back come what fucking may.
Wait. Did he get eaten or did he just get, bit
Swallowed
and
up.
dragged away?
Swallowed up.
Oh.
You're aware of what a Morlock is, the big snake-like creature with the massive distended jaw.
Let me look it up again.
So yeah, Tyranid Morlock is a massive monstrous creature that digs tunnels and eats you.
I just usually, when I think of them, of Tyranids in general, it's just you're eaten and that's it. There's no rescuing you. They've got insane stomach acid. Yeah, okay, that is what I was thinking of.
All of that is correct. Ovesa should not survive this. But Farsight's going after him anyway.
I was say there's a button there, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Ovesa is not walking this off, but Farsight's going after him anyway. And a lot of things happen. I can't sum the whole second act up because the third act just dominates my brain. But they get Ovesa some fucking how. Mostly, I think, through the power of Brightsword, where they get the Morlock into the open field, and Brightsword using his fusion blades. Have you seen Avengers Endgame?
Yes, I have.
You know where Valkyrie goes carving along the Thanosian thing and rips it apart with her blade as she flies along?
Yeah.
Imagine that, but it's a battlesuit with fusion swords, dive bombing into a Morlock, carving it up from the inside out with fusion swords, while also catching Ovesa out of its stomach while he cuts it apart.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, it is, we talk about Space Marine novels sometimes being bolter porn. This is full-on battlesuit, Gundam shit. And I'm here for it, but I appreciate it's not everybody's cup of tea with the writing.
And right. Is he alive?
Barely. He's half digested. He's barely alive.
Half digested sounds like you're dead. But
nanomachines.
Oh,
Again.
You're right. I'm just going to wave my hand and say nanomachines. And I'm like, you're right. What was I thinking? Nanomachines.
Yeah, Ovesa bullshit. Nanomachines. So, Ovesa's half dead and in a heal sphere. Bravestorm basically has to get... So, remember, Bravestorm's in a life support battlesuit.
Mm-hmm.
Bravestorm has to get out of the life support battlesuit to let Ovesa go in it.
Oh.
That's how bad it is. That's how bad the damage is, that life support guy has to get out of his own life support to plug Ovesa into the life support.
Hey, can I unplug you for a second, buddy? My other friend, he needs it.
No, Bravestorm volunteers. And he literally says to Arachon, take me outside, I want to see the sun face to face one last time kind of shit. Bravestorm's like, I'm sacrificing myself for Ovesa. But Bravestorm is Bravestorm, he doesn't die because he's Bravestorm. Bullshit. Again... these are the 8. The 8 are canonically alive. They're not allowed to die yet. So no matter this, we all know coming out of this book, all 8 of them are walking this off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I say walking this off, battle suiting this off. But how we get there is important. So Ovesa and a few Earthcast scientists, one of whom is Torchstar's bondmate who came with her, set to work on the countermeasure. Their plan is to create a rapidly evolving mutagenic virus that can be eaten by the Tyranids and absorbed into the hive ships. They plan to do this by filling up corpses with the countermeasure and throwing corpses at the Tyranids, so the Tyranids will eat them.
Okay, I already have some, like, based on what you said, I already have ideas on how...
Sorry, forget corpses. I mean, like, dead on arrival clones. Sorry, it's even less ethical.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Empire turn up. And Farsight is kidnapped.
Oh my gosh, one thing leads to another. Man cannot catch a break.
This is the new bit. This whole third act between all of this about how we get to the biological countermeasure. We knew Torchstar turns up with tech, biological countermeasure, Tyranids die. Everything in between is new. And the Empire turning up was not on my fucking bingo card. It turns out the watercast of Torchstar's crew sold them out to the Empire.
What? Why?
Because bring back the traitor.
Man.
Effectively. And Aunva himself on his personal flagship turns up with the intent of apprehending and basically executing Farsight, waiting for the Tyranids to consume Violos, and then dealing with them. Letting the enclaves die.
Wow. Dude, that's so messed up.
Like, not just letting them die by ignoring them, coming to watch to kill their leader and watch them die.
Yeah, no, that's incredibly messed up.
Again, your mileage of how much you like Phil Kelly depends on how much you can tolerate his writing of the Ethereals as cartoonishly evil. And Aunva in particular is Vince McMahon levels of evil.
Oh my gosh, this is incredible.
Yeah. Now, this is where the best scene in the book comes. It takes up an entire chapter, and it's Farsight and Aunva having an argument.
Yes. Okay, what's said? I need to know.
Right. So, I've left my phone with the gun drone. Give me a moment.
Yes.
But I will give you a shorthand. Basically, Aunva's argument is, you're just like us. You're no better than us. Look at how you've left your worlds being exactly like us with the 4 casts on their own world. Are you really saying that you're better than the Ethereals when you do things exactly the same way we do? In addition, you've got people killed over and over and over and over again because of your hubris. Oh, I forgot the entire Mount Cloud ritual. I'll come back to that in a minute. And Farsight cracks back with, well, you disappear people. And you control the Empire, not because for the greater good, but for your own personal ends, among many, many other things. Like, the argument goes on for an entire chapter, and like talking about like how Farsight is between castes. It's a sin in the Empire to be between castes, to be outside your sphere. I think it's called Vashya. Yeah, it's Vashya, because Farsight tinkers with tech. He has been involved with Ovesa so very closely, with Koro Limao Teng, his old admiral friend in the Aircast, and things like that. He is a sinner for crossing between the castes, to which Farsight cracks back with, well, you cross into the water caste every time you try to persuade us of something. Eat that. To which the entire room goes, what the fuck? And he accuses Aunva of high fucking treason against the Empire. Like, the conversation is a fucking rip-roaring banger, and I honestly can't do it justice without reading it verbatim, but reading it verbatim will take 10 minutes, so I'm not going to. but it's a fucking amazing conversation, and I implore anybody who cares about Ethereals and the Enclaves to fucking read it. Even if you have a disdain for how evil Anvat is, and how much they're painting Farsight as the underdog babyface, fuck me, read that conversation, it's brilliant. So, Anvat and Farsight agree to a duel.
Okay.
Bear in mind at this point, Farsight is still half dead.
Yeah.
And Anvat, because he's an ethereal, he can't fight. He volunteers one of his ethereal guards, which are gene-modified firecast killing machines.
Oh my gosh. Can't even do his own dirty work.
That's the implication. Using honor blades, which the ethereal guard are trained in, and which Farsight has never fucking used.
What are these blades?
They're basically two-handed glaives, double-ended, double-bladed, well, not even bladed, they're double-ended whacking sticks with power fields. If you've ever seen a single ethereal miniature with a big staff, it's those.
Okay, gotcha.
And we also, there's so much fucking going on. We also have the odd flashback to Farsight training with Shadow Sun back when they were, like, much, much younger. And Okais, who's the protagonist of Dawn of War Dark Crusade, if you didn't know.
Okay.
So these three are the legends of pure type, the three best Tau generals trained by the greatest Tau ever in the Firecast. And it basically confirms the Shass and Show ship, that they do love each other, but also kills that ship because Okais never shows up to the bondmate ritual, so they never become bondmates.
Oh.
So that ship is dead.
Well, yikes.
So Farsight is getting his butt kicked because he doesn't even know how to turn the power field on to start with, and he's getting his ass whooped. But then a voice interjects and says, Anvat, you're embarrassing yourself. Stop.
Oh.
It's Aun Shi. And Aun Shi basically tries to act as the voice of reason, of like, Anvat, you have gone mad with power. Like, it almost is a bit like Mace Windu and Chancellor Palpatine. It's not, there's no quite, the Empire will judge you, I am the Empire. There's none of that quite. But, Anvat is clearly hell-bent on Farsight's death. And Aun Shi's like, you are being ridiculous. So, just like anything, like call in Teddy Long, because it's time for a tag team match, player, because Aun Shi volunteers to tag team with Farsight against both of Anvat's guards, just to make it a fairer fight.
Well, that's good news at least.
With Farsight. And the two of them know each other very well, because they're both Violans. They know each other very well, and know each other's fighting styles very well. But these ethereal guards are trained to fight in tandem, so it's still not exactly a fair fight. Until Farsight and Aun Shi basically make the ethereal guards not work in tandem. They basically circle them. They split up and move inch by inch to make the ethereals not fight side by side like they're used to, but back to back, where they can't coordinate their attacks.
Oh, that's smart.
Using tricks learnt on Mount Kanji while fighting Okais, a physically superior monster, Sho is able to use his weaknesses and tech. I don't mean tech as in technology. I mean techie skills to underpower, disarm, and defeat his opponent. And Aun Shi does the same. Win. Lol. And Anvat's like, fuck off, because Farsight won and now gets to go and die with his friends. He offers to Aun Shi, come with us. We could do with your guidance right now, Ancient One. And he's like, nah, I'm staying with the Empire. Because but the implication is someone's got to keep a check on Anvat. And someone's got to try and be this idea of be the change you see in the world? That's Aun Shi's job.
Gosh.
Try and actually keep the ethereals from going mad and keep the Anvat from becoming a tyrant. He's going to fail, but that's not the point.
Yeah, I was going to say, it already feels like it's a little too late. He's already down that path.
Long past down that path. Right. Oh god, I completely forgot about Neve. Oh god, I forgot about Neve. There's an Inquisitor who's a friend of Farsight's and a Psyker. And she had a girlfriend, also an Inquisitor, who's an ally to the Empire. There's a whole fucking lesbian Inquisition subplot underneath all of this. And she's like lost her powers, but then she gets them back again, and she slightly transforms into a demon because she's a biomancer. And so her girlfriend with the Empire turns up to arrest her, and then she ends up killing, not necessarily her girlfriend, but killing her captors and stealing her girlfriend's ship around the time that Farsight comes back from his escape from Alvaz's ship.
What happens to the demon girlfriend?
The reason I need to bring her up is because she's about to do something very important.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, biological countermeasure time. There are 11 Tau left on world. There's the 8 Tau I've been referring to up to now, so Farsight, Bravestorm, Shavastos, Brightsword, Bravestorm, Arakon, Torchstar, Ovesa, Oblotai. I've probably said one of them twice there. And the other scientists assisting Ovesa, and a Riptide pilot, whose name escapes me. I think it's not Orin. That's a different commander from a different time. It's OR something. And he's a Riptide pilot.
Okay.
The job of the 8 is to stall the Tyranids for as long as fucking possible so that Ovesa and co can finish the countermeasure and deploy the clones.
Okay.
Torchstar gets to do Pyromania bullshit while Arakon does anti-infantry clearance like you've never seen. Shavastos' Puretide engram kicks in and he turns into Puretide, basically blasting Farsight verbally the entire time while coordinating a drone net to act like a flying firecast army to clear the air defences. Oblotai duplicates his AI 11 times by bullshit to command the automated defences and the supremacy railguns to deal with the big ones. And Bravestorm and Brightsword to go and play Monster Hunter.
Well, how does that go? Does it all go well for the most part, or
it works long enough to deploy the corpses?
Okay.
And the Tyranids completely ignore them.
I won't lie. I was thinking, will they really want to eat the corpses if there's living
They're
flesh
not
in
corpses.
them? Well, okay.
They're alive. They're dead
right.
on arrival clones. They're not dead.
Right, okay. I was wondering if the Tyranids would be smart enough to figure that out. And I'm wondering...
They were.
My initial thought was, well, what if you injected it into someone that was someone who was actually
alive?
Really fighting. I'm not sure how to articulate that, but...
Congratulations, you just unlocked Ovesa's final gambit. That's exactly what the scientists do.
When you first talked about it, I said, I was I think... I was thinking about it, and I was that sounds like the thing that's going to happen, ultimately.
Yeah. And that was the thing we knew happened from the 6th edition lore.
Oh,
the
sweet.
Earthcast scientists that are not Ovesa have to take the countermeasure into their own bodies and sacrifice themselves in order to get the countermeasure across.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that in advance, I promise.
No, that's fine. I wasn't expecting you to because it was 8 years ago, 10 years ago. But in order to get that done, the rest of the Firecast need to evacuate.
Okay.
And the Swarm Lord is back on the field. And Farsight decides, I want another piece of that.
Oh, no, man. Oh, my gosh.
But this time, he's got Oblotai and an entire fortress of labs, research facilities worth of supremacy railguns on his back.
That helps.
The Swarm Lord's got extra psychic shielding for its friendly neighborhood Zoanthrope core.
Oh.
So, this is how they do it. Farsight and the Swarm Lord have a duel, and Oblotai uses the supremacy railguns which are normally absorbed by the psychic shielding, but when Farsight attacks the Swarm Lord, the shield goes on the Swarm Lord. The Zoanthropes are left vulnerable, so Oblotai pops off the Zoanthropes, weakening the psychic shield.
Okay.
Then, When Farsight is doing something else, he might attack a different angle or go for a zone throw, move the psychic shield, target the Swarmlord, and blow its arms off one by fucking one with concentrated supremacy railgun fire until the Dawnblade and the railguns finally get the job done and kill the Swarmlord.
That sounds almost like a classic, like, video game fight.
It's literally... attack, weaken the shield, attack, distraction, weaken the boss. It was proper video game boss fight stuff.
I was like,
bear in mind... sorry.
No. I was just gonna I was gonna double down on my statement. I was like, this just sounds so much like a video game, but...
Yeah. Bear in mind, Farsight's also had to get a brand new suit, which is his new modern suit, which he's got today. So that's the justification for his suit upgrade. Is he lost his old one. They resalvaged it, reintegrated some of the old bits, like the Dawnblade, his shield, his plasma rifle.
Oh, good.
Upgraded, of course. But then with a new suit with all the new cool shit and his Helm of Arthas Moloch, just no AI this time.
Okay.
Right. So, Ovesa then has to ask Torchstar, can I have Firecast status, please? I can't ask Farsight, it has to be an Empire person. And she's like, I can do that. Why? No reason. Well, yeah, there is a reason. The Riptide pilot is long since dead, but the Riptide is not non-functional. So Ovesa effectively hacks it and pilots it from within his heel sphere, or remotely.
Okay.
Now, this is incredibly Vashya, so he has to ask for permission to be given the status of Chasseur, the required rank to pilot a thingy, because he's not allowed. He's from the Theo. The Earthcast can't pilot battlesuits, they can't fight. So he has to ask for permission from an Empire commander to be given the ranks to pilot the Riptide. So he becomes Honor Chasseur Ovesa.
Okay.
Which is why he has that title, and later his heel sphere will be embedded into the Riptide in an Earthcast piloting array. He actually gets to pilot the Riptide in the games, but that comes later.
Oh, okay, that's really cool.
Right, and now potentially psychic bullshit, and this is why I wanted Remlays here, because he will know the bullshit better than I do. Neve... So, Vicola Neve Herat, who I'm sure is not named Neve because of me, but it would be funny if Phil Kelly picked that name because of me. It would be hilarious.
Dude.
No, the book's older than my transition, so no. Herat basically turns herself into a bomb. A crystal bomb.
As you do.
Where she sets off a psychic pulse so powerful that it crystallizes her and every Tyranid in a 1/4 mile radius.
What? I have never heard anything like that happening.
No, neither have I. It sounds like bullshit.
It kind of does.
That's why I wanted to ask Remlays. So yes, she does this. It doesn't work for long, but it gives them enough time to evacuate the 8, while the 2 or 3 Earthcast signed, I think it's 3, sit down, get in a huddle, and die. They get eaten. They were like, we could probably get ourselves out. There's still time. We could get to an escape pod and get out. No.
It's for the greater good.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. The greater good. Insert Hot Fuzz reference. How could this be for the greater good? The greater good. But yes, this is because the virus mutates so quickly, it goes into the Hive Fleet, activates, and mutates so rapidly the Tyranids can't adapt, eating the entire Hive Fleet from the inside out.
Well, they didn't die for nothing, so that's good.
No. Now, this leads to another question, and it was brought up by a comment on a Progeus podcast. How does this mean that the town now can't just be every Tyranid ever by using Ovesa's countermeasures?
Right.
Ovesa got the text surgically removed from his brain, so he doesn't know how to do it.
Why would he do that?
Because it's unethical as fuck.
But, I'm sorry. The greater good, if you run into more Tyranids, how are you going to protect your... Oh my gosh.
Because partly it's unethical as fuck, and 2, it's like, I know genuinely, like there's still a code of ethics here. I think it basically boils down to it's unethical as fuck. But Oveta does give reasons, and it's one of those. It also is a plot contrivance, because otherwise the Tau have an auto win button against the Tyranids.
Oh, right.
They have to get rid of the auto win button. It's a plot device.
Right.
To get rid of it.
No, that's fair. I don't exactly like that rationale. It's kind of funny now that I can't watch regular movies, or like let's say like a horror movie, for example. And, like, someone's like, you're trying to protect a member from your party from the monster, and it's like, don't leave them behind. And I'm just so used to Warhammer now. I'm like, honestly, it's better for everyone if that one person just dies. Like, I feel a little bad about it. I'm like, it's incredibly unethical and wrong, but I'm like, you know what? Everyone's gonna live if that person just dies. Like, literally everyone. So I have a hard time now when I hear there's like, oh yeah, I just deleted the insta win button from my brain. And I'm like, why would you do that? What if it happened again? But ethics.
Yeah. Ethics. They may be renegades, but they're not monsters. Well, they try not to be.
I'm too Imperium pilled for that. I'm like, well, if we gotta, man.
Yeah, the Tau are not good guys, but they are supposed to not be completely morally black.
Let me clarify, that's just in Warhammer settings. I don't take that as a personal... That's not my personal stance on life.
I know. But no, Farsight and the 8 watch for your lost die, and then watch the Hive Fleet die along with it. They're going to go and resettle it afterwards, and the Enclaves will rebuild. But, you know, Farsight has just had to basically confirm all his worst fears about the Empire and about the Ethereals, while also watching his adopted home, the world he made his own. He had to watch it die, along with billions of Tau along the way.
I didn't realize there were billions. Like, I was expecting millions, but billions. Holy cow.
It's definitely millions. It might not have been billions, but it's definitely millions. But he's also had to live through watching literal billions of Tau die in his past. Because during his time on Anvar's ship, he has to go through the Malkla, the ultimate dishonor ritual. It's a thing that if you fuck up this badly as a commander, you face the Malkla, often considered either Korea or literal seppuku.
Oh.
And we never knew how it worked. Now we do. They basically lock you in a room with your bonding knife and make you watch every single mistake you ever made and the consequences in excruciating detail, while a voice comes through on a speaker or in the back of your head saying all kinds of things and encouraging you to take that knife and you know what.
What the heck? And, like, is this, like, specifically for, like, mistakes you made in a particular battle?
Your entire career. It is the ultimate sanction. If you, it's not, you make a minor mistake, you get this. If you have utterly disgraced, dishonored, and destroyed yourself, or done things of your own glory at the cost of others, this is how they put you back in your box. Or a box.
Okay, that was the perfect line. That was great.
And Farsight has to watch Arkanasha, where his mistakes get thousands and millions killed in the dust storms and the orcs can't be beaten. He has to watch his Ethereals die on Arthas Moloch again. He has to watch his best friend in the aircast, Koro Limao Teng, have his ship destroyed by the orcs, even though the Ethereals actually sabotaged it.
Bet they didn't show that in the clip.
No, but Anvar basically said it afterwards because Farsight got too big for his fucking boots. And the Empire, he was being hero worshipped by the Empire. So they got rid of him. The Damocles Gulf, the Farsight expedition was doomed to fail. He was either going to die or he was going to get humbled. And Anvar set him up to fail.
Wow.
There was no conceivable... Yeah, because hero worship. The Empire does not allow there to be hero worship. He was too big for his fucking boots. Not in his own head. In the eyes of the public. He was too big. He was too famous. He was too popular. And he had to go. But they couldn't just have him disappeared. They had to send him off on crusade with no reinforcements, a sabotaged flagship, and no way home.
Oh, that is so messed up.
Anvar, again, comically Vince McMahon evil. Although, Anvar does make a point of, why do you think I only sent Aun Shi to get you from Arkanasha? Did you not consider the fact that we were dealing with Tyranids at the same fucking time? We didn't have an army to send you. Oh. So yeah, that one clarifies why Farsight got no help on Arkanasha. It's because they didn't have an army, well, in Anvar's world, they didn't have an army to spare.
I would have just assumed that he was being comically evil and just didn't want to.
Well, that is also probably true, but that's his excuse.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
He also says to Farsight, consider the orc. You're an expert on orcs, right, aren't you, Farsight? You know, you wrote the book on orcs, literally the Book of the Beast. Have you ever considered why orcs are the way they are? Because according to our research, the orcs used to have a ruling caste who were subsumed by the over-exuberance and dominance of their warrior caste, effectively implying that the Brain Boys theory of the orcs and Gretchen is, in the Tau's mind, correct.
Oh. Well, that's interesting.
Do you know what the Brain Boys are?
I've like heard about them once or twice, so I know like a little bit.
They were the original ruling class of the Kroks and the Orcs, but because of the violence and lack of control over the actual Orcs, because they had no fucking off button, they were subsumed and devolved into grots.
I wonder if they're starting to like, if they'll make a story for that after this little tidbit.
I mean, that lore has been around as a theory of Gretchen for decades, but according to the Tau, that theory appears to hold a hell of a lot of water. It might not be confirmed, but it certainly implies that the Tau, the arguable smartest race in terms of tech not named the Necrons, and they don't care, think that the Brain Boy theory is accurate.
Well, now I really want to know.
And he tries to use this as a bat to say, look what happens when the ruling class are pushed to one side, and look what happened to the Orcs. That's what will happen to us. If he's wrong.
Well, that's still very interesting.
Yeah, right. Have I covered the list of bullet points I sent to Remlays of remind me to talk about all of this? Done that, 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 done that. Yeah, right. I've covered all the things I actually wanted to cover in terms of the plot and the reveals. It's taken me nearly an hour, and I don't care.
No, I love this. This has been great. Like, just listening to all of it, it feels like I'm getting, like, the tea spilled, and I'm just getting all the drama.
I will say, if you don't enjoy Phil Kelly writing, and I know there are a number of people who don't, you will probably find this book nauseating at times. Because the battlesuit glory violence is off the scale, and the comically evil way they portray Anvar will wind you up no end. But if you are a Farsight enjoyer and you enjoy the way that Crisis of Faith and Empire of Lies were written, you will fucking love this book. And I have not even covered all the details. There's bits about, like, the secret society and how it operates, how reindoctrination looks in the Empire, how Shavastos is when he's like Puretide and how to switch between the two and what Puretide was actually like, how Sho actually beat Kais in a fight even though he'd been beaten 10 times before, the final separation of Shas and Sho before they go their separate ways and become their own unique commanders. All the dynamics with Aun Shi and Anvar and Sho are fantastic reading and could be a novella in and of themselves. It's brilliant. The way that they execute the final battle against the Tyranids and all the tech and the tactics, and how 8 Tau managed to hold off an entire Tyranid army for like an hour, which is obscene. And honestly, this book is amazing, and I really implore you to read it. If you have any interest in Tau or Farsight whatsoever, read it. you don't even really need to read the other two first. It will help to read Empire of Lies, especially, and Crisis of Faith wouldn't hurt, but Blade of Truth stands well enough on its own where, like Avengers Endgame, you don't have to watch everything else to get the full story, but if you have read everything else and you know what's going on, you get a lot of, I understood that reference moments, and it's bloody brilliant.
I'm really excited. I think you did a great job explaining the book, and like I've wanted to look into Tau and Commander Farsight. I just haven't gotten around to it, but now I definitely want to read those. You just did a great job. No, you're not gonna completely convert me. I'm interested, but you're not brainwashing me into your greater good.
No, Crisis of Faith, Empire of Lies, and Blade of Truth make a great trilogy on their own. And honestly, even if you're not interested in reading other Tau stuff, I mean, I would read Elemental Council, which is a standalone book, which is really good in of itself.
I've heard that.
I talked about that on a recent episode. Yeah, I talked about it on a recent episode. It's very, very good. But the Farsight saga is amazing at fleshing out the story from 6th edition, and I thoroughly recommend it if you can tolerate the Phil Kellyisms, which I can live with in spades. And I would honestly, within the Black Library, there is no person I want to interview more than Phil fucking Kelly.
Well, hopefully you can get him on the show one day.
I'll probably have to quit Black Library before I get to interview him, but maybe. Who knows? Right. I also had to not watch Remlace's video about Farsight for 2 whole bloody weeks because of waiting till I'd read this book. So, yeah,
are you saying that he read the book before you did?
No, I'm saying he made a video, then the book came out, and the spoilers basically half confirmed and half counteracted what he said.
Gotcha.
So I had to not watch it, and B, not read the comments to avoid spoilers for 2 whole weeks.
Okay, I was going to be surprised. I was like, he read the book and like finished it before you did? Like, wow. But thank you for clarifying.
That's more than fair. Right. There are a couple of questions from the comments, although admittedly not many. But let's see, what have we got? The first question asks, what would you think if we got a short story about a ship from the Imperium's future appearing through warp time space shenanigans? Because, you know, you go in the warp at one point, you can go backwards in time.
Mm-hmm.
Or a modern Imperial ship goes back in time to the Dark Age of technology and gets to see what they used to be like. How would you feel about a short like that?
I would actually be really interested, specifically if we were exploring the Dark Age of technology and you could see how everything falls apart. There's always like references to it in some books, and I think that would be really interesting. They'd have to do it right for me to like fall in love with a book like that, or a short story, but I'd be interested. I'd be willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I don't think they'll ever do it because that forces them to lock things into canon and also talk about the Dark Age of technology. So I don't think they'll ever do it, but it would be fun.
Well, I mean, you know what happens. It's never really canon. They can always change it later.
Absolutely. Right. Next, how do you feel about fully proxied armies? Assuming they were identifiable as the models they were proxying, what are your thoughts on having full proxy armies?
That's going to be a you question, probably.
Well, I mean, it's just, you know, if someone I think it depends on what you mean by proxy. Like, if someone's bringing models and saying, these are these, then I'm going to go, right. Like, in my Warhammer Club setting, that's fine, you know. I'm using these tactical marines as intercessors, big fucking whoop. I'm using these intercessors, heavy intercessors, big fucking whoop. It's fine. But if you say, oh, I've got these Eldar minis, they're going to be my battle sisters today, then that's irritating, and I wouldn't necessarily think that's a good thing outside of casual play where you're experimenting with a new army for the first time. Like, I've done it before. I used my Orcs to proxy as Dark Eldar because I wasn't buying Dark Eldar, but I was curious how the army played.
Yeah.
But sorry.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, yeah, it makes more sense if it's like between like unit to unit rather than completely different armies. I know I would have a harder time, especially because I'm a newer player, overcoming that.
That said, that doesn't mean you have to use the legal, legitimate models.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if someone comes up with a fully kit-bashed army, so for example, a kid at Warhammer Club is creating guardsmen, but chaosifying them to make traitor guard and using them as guard models, but they look like chaos guard. I have no issue with that.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're still guard. They just look different and have slightly different looking weapons because they're traitor guard, but they're still clearly this unit, that unit, the other unit.
I agree with that.
Or if it's like where you've 3D printed an army and it doesn't look quite like the GW sculpts, but you can still kind of tell, I think that's okay. But I think it depends on how bad you're meaning by proxy and how much you're having to work to identify them.
Yeah. If they're similar looking enough, it's fine. Or like, oh well, I don't want them to have bolters. I want them to have flamers. Something different. That's easy enough to get around. But when it's a completely different looking unit, I would have a harder time with that personally.
Yeah, that is completely fair. The next one is actually a question I can answer. It's a Tau question. They talk about the Tau not having extermination protocols for stuff like except for stuff like Gene Stealers, Orcs, and Tyranids. They do. If you read Elemental Council, there's a thing called the Cursewind Protocol, which is an ionization bomb that will render the planet basically uninhabitable for like 30 generations through radiation. So it's not genetic extermination in the sense of finding a gene bomb that wipes out this gene strain. More, it is exterminatus. So they do have it. But in terms of Gavesa evolving, you know, like it talks about like humanity mutates a lot. How do they deal with abhumans and other mutations? And how would humans get on without all this around them within the greater good with the Gavesa? And to be honest, it will probably be they'll have their old stereotypes and fear the mutant, loathe the mutant, but also, they are your equals now. So, fucking deal with it. Are there any more? Okay, last one from a storytime perspective, and then I'm conscious of the time because I've rambled for like an hour. In a fight between a mortal named character and a foe who can come back from the death or be replaced by a carbon copy. So, for example, Lion L. Johnson versus Angron. Lion was always going to win because Angron can die and come back again. He's a demon. Marnius Calga versus the Avatar of Cain. You can kill the Avatar, they'll just get another one. The result often feels predictable because the latter can die without consequence. How would you subvert the trend to have a duel where a mortal important named character loses to an immortal champion without fucking the setting up? So how would you subvert the trend of Lion wins lol because the demon Primarchs can come back from the death and actually make someone like Lion or Guilliman lose?
That's tricky because I feel like the GW response would be like, oh, well, they lose, but at the last minute they get saved and they're just an inch from death. That feels like a classic thing GW would do to like save the setting. I don't know what I would personally choose. I don't mind every once in a while a very important character dying. I feel like it makes things more real. Sometimes things feel very stale when you can like predict the patterns of what's going to happen in a classic fight like that. And like having like death be an actual thing is like really important. And so it's just not cheap. I'm not sure what I would do, but part of me is like, yeah, I don't mind if like, hey, that big character dies. Is like, that's just how it is.
Absolutely. There's a time and a place for killing them. But I think there's two main ways that GW does it. There's Deus Ex Machina Savior, and there's Deus Ex Machina I'm not finished with you. Someone runs in to attack the guy killing the mortal. We've seen both. So we've seen like Guilliman lost. Well, no, Guilliman didn't lose. Guilliman lost to Fulgrim and went into stasis until Ivrain could save him.
Right.
For example. We saw in Blade of Truth how Farsight lost to the Swarm Lord. I don't consider this a major spoiler, so even though it's not in the spoiler section, I don't consider this a major spoiler. He lost to the Swarm Lord and had to be bailed out even though he was doomed to die. Because he wasn't allowed to die for plot convenience. Because he has to be alive now in 10th edition, but this was back in 6th. So, there's the saviour thing. Or, when Guilliman was captured by Magnus the Red, you had the intervention of Cypher. Or Huron Blackheart and the Thousand Suns then showing up. Or I can't remember the details of Gathering Storm 3 now. But there's chaos elements interfering with each other to stop death. Magnus versus Guilliman is saved because the Sisters of Silence show up. I'm pretty sure there's at least one fight where a third party is like, I want to kill the person who is killing our loyal mortal hero, and basically fights them off because they're busy doing something else. Or you can do as you say, actually take them out. Like this is what I did with Calgar. Abaddon killed Calgar on Vigilus, but Rubicon Primaris go burr, Calgar's alive again. And same with like Celestine basically killed Abaddon on Cadia to the point he had to run away. Because Celestine was going to beat him.
Yeah, I think the really way you just beat this trend is like you have a main mortal character just die. Full stop. They don't come back ever. Like,
but the problem is when those main characters are like faction leaders like Guilliman, Abaddon, Farsight. They did it, to be fair, actually, they did this because they killed Gazgul and Ragnar. Problem is, Gazgul had a super cyborg body ready to go that Grotstick put his head on, and Ragnar got Primaris. So they did kill each other, but then were resurrected through medical nonsense because plot contrivances.
I feel like in some ways, GW's they gotta grow some, and then they just gotta kill a main character. They just gotta do it.
Yeah, but do you know the last main character they killed? That I recall was Commissar Yarrick. And they fucking killed him off screen.
Okay, don't kill him off screen. You make it a cool moment at least. But I like Warhammer 40K because it's like hope in like dark times. But I am sensing the trend of it's just not that there's too much hope, but like it doesn't feel like grimdark like what I was like first reading. And now it's like, okay, everyone seems to like stand a fighting chance. And I'm like, I'm sorry. We gotta just off someone. Make it big, make it like a really cool scene and make it impactful. But like, and they're not gonna do this. I know they aren't, but like the huge nerd and reader in me just really wants to see something big and devastating happen where everyone is just so thrown off by it because it's going to go so against the grain of what we've been seeing lately for books.
Problem is, the only people you can kill that have that level of impact is Guilliman and Abaddon. Because all the other Primarchs are demons, and Lion only just got back. He will not be missed if he goes back for another dirt nap. But it's only Abaddon and Guilliman. Killing Abaddon basically ends the Horus Heresy and the Long War dead. What the hell does Chaos do now? And killing Guilliman effectively kills the Imperium stone dead. So if you do that, you're basically committing to a hard reboot of the setting. And not just the game, the setting. Yeah,
there's supposed to only be war, and you have to keep that war going.
And there is now serious Amazon dollar cha-ching cash machine noise.
I know they'll never do it
out of that setting.
Exactly for that reason. It's a shame because I feel like you really miss out on good writing. There's so many series I've read where a character dies unexpectedly, and I'll finish a book and I'll like sit in silence. Well, that's not really true, but like I'll be contemplating it for days, just like, holy cow, I can't believe that happened. That was really good storytelling. I feel like we just miss that.
Yeah, I think the best target for that, ironically, considering he's already died once, is Calgar. Calgar's a great target for that. So is, well, if they stick around a bit longer, like Leontus and more than Val. Yarrick was the one, and they fucking killed him off screen. So, like, the book about the death of Commissar Yarrick could have been that book.
Right.
And they nearly did it with the devastation of Baal. They killed Dante.
It was so close.
But Sanguinius said, nah, son, you need to stay alive, bro. Go back to the land of the living. Bye. Dad, please let me die. Nah, you got stuff to do.
I cried when I read that. That was so devastating. I was like, oh my gosh.
I think I did too.
Dude, I did too, like, I don't know I forgot who narrated that book. But it was...
Guy Haley wrote it.
I forget who narrated it, but it was so good, and I felt the emotion, and I'm just not crying, I'm sobbing, I think. Anyways.
The problem is there's very few people who you can now put in that position of killing them will make a major difference and not just feel like, yay, we beat a bad guy.
Well, maybe you could do it with Dante. Because, like, there will be some, like, happiness of people to, like, yes, he's finally getting his rest like he wanted. Like... You won't get that, oh my gosh, this is terrible, I can't believe he died, feeling that you get from, like, a big name dying, but you can at least still feel some satisfaction with that. But Sanguinius wants him around, so maybe some time before that happens.
Yeah, Yarrick and Dante and Calgar are probably the big three, and all of them have fucking died. But Yarrick stayed dead off screen, Dante got Sanguinius, and fucking Calgar got Rubicon Primarist. But admittedly, I'm trying to think now about, like, is there anybody else who would be really impactful to kill? And, well, Gazgul's the other one, but Super Cyborg. Farsight would be another one, but no, already been there. Aunvat is already dead. He's a hologram now. He died in Damocles in the end of 7th edition. He died. He's a hologram now. The Silent King hasn't been back long enough, and it would just be a fucking plot convenience if he died. Eldrad Ulthran would be funny, like the ultimate Fate Weaver of the Eldari finally cops it, or Asdrubale Vet, but then people would go, lol, because he hasn't done anything for 3 fucking editions.
Right.
Ivrain would be lol, because, well, the champion of the God of Death finally got to meet her maker and achieved fuck all. But Ivrain's sacrifice, invoking and summoning and manifesting Iniad, now that's a fun place to go.
Oh.
But that ain't gonna happen, because that would imply putting a god on the field, and they're not doing that. Eldrad Ulthran is probably a half decent one you could go for, I guess. But everybody else they've already killed once and brought back through plot convenience or left them dead off screen. Still not over it. Fucking bring back Yarrick and give him the Book of his Death.
I would love that. Please do that.
Yes. Right. Anyway, we could ramble for the next 10 years, I suspect. But I need to get some food, and I have already talked everybody's ear off enough going on about Farsight, so I will call it there. This has been episode 224, Farsight edition of Adeptus Podcastus, and I hope you enjoyed talking about Tau for an hour. But no, in all seriousness, thank you very much for watching. I hope you could understand why I felt the need to talk about it for so long. And even if you did skip the spoilers and only got half an episode, then I hope you enjoyed the rest of it nonetheless, and thank you very much to Aurelia for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Honestly, you did a great job, like, promoting these books. I was going to read them before, and I am definitely going to read them now. So, kudos to you and your storytelling, because I'm convinced.
Good. That's that book. Basically, I had to ingrain the plot of that book into my brain just to make sure I remembered it all to talk about on this goddamn show. I wrote Remlays a list of don't let me forget to talk about these 10, 15 things, because if I don't, then I'll kick myself afterwards. So, yeah. It was really good, and thank you very much for putting up with it, and thank you for joining me. It's always been fun. Next episode is Quizcastus. I am keeping and I am taking that fucking belt if it kills me. So this has been your interim, reigning, defending, slightly disputed Quizcastus champion, Tactica Imperialis, signing off. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you where I take my title back fucking properly, and I will see you then. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.